Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Saturday. We've got more combine action as I speak. We've got some very interesting stuff happening in Indy right now. We've got quarterbacks, we've got wide receivers, we've got tight ends. A lot of fun stuff happening, and I'm going to talk about it a lot tomorrow in all likelihood. But there was some stuff that went down yesterday that I want to spend a video on. Look, I get it. This is not exactly the high priority area for the Seahawks right now. Yesterday, the on field work was being done by defensive backs and special teamers. Well, we know we don't need special teamers because we've given a lot of money to special team specialists already. Dixon, Myers, Belore. So that's good. We know we don't really need to invest in a safety right now unless it's a guy who can also play nickel, I guess. There's just not enough resources to go around to spend more on a safety. And we're doing pretty good at cornerback as well. We just found a gem in Tariq Woolen. Kobe Bryant had a pretty decent rookie year. You've got some other guys hanging around like Trey Brown. Carroll usually does a really good job of finding valuable corners late in the draft or not even drafted at all. So the only thing in this area that we might have a serious need of is nickel cornerback. But I'm going to take this one video to kind of discuss that group. I'm going to take this video to discuss a handful of guys who caught my attention in one way or the other. Because just because you don't need something doesn't mean you're going to completely ignore it. So there were a few guys that I think are worth talking about. Some of them in the positive, some of them in the negative. But obviously, this is not an area I'm going to spend a ton of time in. We don't really need any of this stuff except for a nickel corner. And honestly, if the nickel corner isn't going to be really good, then whatever. Just go with Kobe Bryant. He can be okay as a nickel corner. He won't be great. He might not even be really good, but he can be okay. So honestly, I'm just going to take this one video to talk about these corners unless something crazy changes today, like one of them bench presses like 80 times. I'll probably talk about that. But more than likely, I think this video we'll call it. I'm going to take a look at 6 guys who I thought did things at the Combine to get my attention. And I'm going to talk about the context in which they got my attention so we can try to really wrap our minds around what they could be doing as Seahawks if that is the route we decide to go. So keeping in mind that a lot of this stuff is just kind of to develop a robust center of knowledge about these guys, let's go. First guy I want to talk about is Julius Brents, and this guy had a very nice combine. And as of right now, if you're talking about outside cornerbacks, I think this is the guy. This is a guy who's not going to go super high in the draft. He's not going to be a first or second, probably not even a third rounder, I don't think. Maybe he'll be in the third round. But Julius Brents has a lot of sea hockey type traits. The Kansas State Wildcat was 6'3" at the combine, just about 200 pounds, so he's long. He's got super long arms as well, 34 inches. So that right there is like, yeah, that's a Seahawks corner. That could be a Seahawks corner all day. And then his combine results were actually really good. Not amazing, but let's remember here, Tariq Woolen is a unicorn. There aren't that many Tariq Woolens out there. So for a guy of this size to run a 4.53 40, which is what he ran, 4.53, that's fine. A lot of people thought he was going to run like a 4.7. So 4.53 is good. Now his 10-yard split is ugly, 1.57, admittedly, but everything else is good. The vertical was really good. He had, I think, the second best vertical of any corner and the best broad jump at 11 feet 6 inches. His 3-cone, only a few corners ran the 3-cone, but his time was the best, and his 20-yard shuttle was the best of all corners. So you look at this guy play at Kansas State. He's a hard hitter as well. He's a very physical player. If you want to go get a corner in the draft, I think this is my number one. An outside corner, Julius Brents. He's got the size. His speed should be good enough to get him by with his other positive attributes. Playmaker, really explosive athlete in many areas, even if he's not super fast. Good change of direction. This guy impressed me. Okay, so to continue to talk about outside corners, I do want to spend a couple minutes here on one particular topic, which is the topic of the Seahawks potentially spending a high value pick on a cornerback in this draft, which is basically a first round pick, like our number 20 pick. There are people who talk about that. Now, I don't really get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me why you would ever want to do that for multiple reasons. We don't really need it that badly. We've never really needed to expend massive resources on corners anyway. I don't know why we would do it now. Last year it made a little bit of sense, but this year I don't really see it. However, if you're going to do it, then I think the guy you should probably do it on has made himself known. It's Joey Porter Jr. of Penn State. This guy, I think, has emerged as the best corner in the draft for sure. And that wasn't clear as recently as, I'd say, a month ago. But Joey Porter Jr., he's got pretty good size, 6'2.5", 193 pounds, big hands, long arms, 34 inches. His combine results were plenty good enough. 4.4640 is good for a guy of his size. 10-yard split was all right. Pretty reasonably explosive. So if you want to spend a high-end resource on a corner, like a first-round pick, I think this is the guy. And you know who it's not? You know who the guy isn't? It's Kelee Ringo. And this is a guy a lot of Seahawks fans have been talking about lately as, hey, we should spend... There was a time when people were saying, hey, we could spend the number 5 pick on Kelee Ringo. And then it was, how about the number 20 pick if he drops a little bit? Well, he's going to drop. I think he's going to drop beyond that number 20 pick. But even if he does, I'm not really seeing a whole lot here that I love. I mean, the size is all right. He's 6'2". That's okay. 207 pounds seems a little heavy. His arms are short. His hands are small. Like, these measurements do not get me excited about Kelee Ringo. And for him to burst into the scene as like being a potential top pick, the way people were talking at one point about Kelee Ringo, I think he needed to do a little bit better than 4.36. I know that's good. It's better than Joey Porter. But Joey Porter is bringing other attributes to the table that make his 40 time not as important. Kelee Ringo, some people thought he was going to run a 4.29 or something. The 10-yard split wasn't very good. The explosives are okay. So if you were to ask me about the cornerbacks as of right now, the outside corners, I think that Kelee Ringo's the guy whose stock is starting to slip here. I don't know. I didn't see what I wanted to see with Kelee Ringo. He needed to blow away the 40-yard dash in order to undo some of the things I was disappointed on from, say, his arm length. And I think, honestly, given the fact that he's an outside corner, the arm length is kind of a deal breaker for me. So I'm out on Kelee Ringo, even in like the second round at this point. Okay, so those are the 3 things I wanted to cover real quick as far as outside corners go. That's one guy that I would be willing to draft, one guy who I would target if we're actually going to spend a top pick on a corner, one guy I'm kind of out on. So let's turn our attention to nickel corner, which I think is a little more interesting because we actually need one. Or we probably need one. Maybe Kobe Bryant takes a big step forward at nickel this year. I think we need a true nickel corner. And I'll say it, I don't think there are a ton of great options in this draft as of right now. So I wanted to focus in on the guys who may establish themselves as the premier nickel corners in this draft. So let's start with the guy who probably did the most good for his draft stock yesterday, DJ Turner, the cornerback from Michigan. He was killing it out there. So, smaller guy, as you would expect from a nickel, 5'11", 178 pounds, short arms, 30 inches and 3/4. So, obviously, you get him, you're getting him to be a nickel cornerback. And, look, the dude's a great athlete. His 40-yard dash, he had the best 40-yard dash of any corner, 4.26. Yes, please. 10-yard split, 1.47. Solid. And his vert jump and his broad jump, really nice. He had one of the best athleticism scores of any cornerback that went at the combine yesterday. So DJ Turner technically could play outside or inside, but obviously if he came to Seattle, if you drafted DJ Turner, he would be playing nickel. So I think DJ Turner is a guy who really separated himself as being one of the best nickels in this draft. And another guy that I want to highlight is a guy I've talked about before here. It's Trevius Hodges Tomlinson, the TCU nickel corner. Another very small guy, short arms, 29 inches, 5'8", 178 pounds. He was a guy who I kind of had my eye on all college football season as being potentially the best nickel in this class. And his combine results have been pretty decent. Ran a decent 40, 4.41. Not as good as DJ Turner, obviously, but decent. 10-yard splits, fine. He broad jumped 11 feet, so explosive. Like, these to me are the two guys, DJ Turner and Hodges Tomlinson. If you want a nickel, that's where you can find a nickel right now. And there's a third guy, but unfortunately, I don't think he had the best day yesterday. Going to touch on this guy here real quick, Clark Phillips III, the Utah nickel corner. He was somebody who actually impressed me during the season, and I'm not out on him, but this combine, I don't know if I saw everything I needed to see. It was more the on-field drills than it was necessarily any of the actual testing results, like him actually doing cornerback and defensive back type drills out there. But, you know, you look at the size. This is a nickel corner, very clearly. 5'9", 184 pounds. Arms barely over 29 inches. His combine results were not very good, admittedly. Like 4.51. That's slow for a nickel corner. 10-yard split. It's okay. Vertical jump was lackluster. He didn't do anything else except the 20-yard shuttle, which, I mean, think about it like this. Clark Phillips had a worse 20-yard shuttle than Julius Brents did. What? Julius Brents has, 20 pounds and what was it, like 6 inches on Clark Phillips? How does that happen? So, yeah, a little bit out on Clark Phillips III at the moment. I'm a little down on him at the very least. And that's it. That's what I got for the cornerbacks and safeties from this class. Let me know what you guys think. Go Hawks. Another video coming later today.